Welcome. If you made it this far, then this is awesome. I'm really excited for you to be here with us. In this video, this is where we really tie it all together. And Coach Rob has put together an awesome article called The 4 Stages of Personal Growth and Development, where we really tie together and he explains, like the first video was ego versus self-esteem, and the second video was
ideals versus reality.
Ideals versus reality. We talked about that. And if you haven't seen those videos, go back and watch them, and also make sure you get the free PDF downloads that go with those videos and look at them, at least look at them so you really know, because this is where it all ties together. And you've put together an awesome article, just great, the 4 stages of personal growth and development. So let's get right into it.
Sure, now this is a great video. I'm really excited to be here because this is the one that people really seem to get the most from. They can really start to put it to use immediately and make sense of themselves and the world around them in kind of some fun and intellectual ways that are simple and powerful.
And then here in the 4 stages of personal growth and development, what is the 4 stages of personal growth and development? Can you start off with that?
Sure. We all start in the first stage. And the first stage is characterized by selfishness. What are my needs? How is this going to affect me? What am I giving up? What am I going to gain? Me, I, me, my. So the first stage is characterized by those qualities. And if I could feel you and what you're going to lose or what you're going to gain, that wouldn't be the first stage. So the first stage really is a limit. And we all start there as babies. What is my temperature? What is my hunger? Are my diapers loaded or not? And so we express ourselves and relate to the world based on those first stage things.
So the first stage is like immaturity. It's I, me, my. It's all about being stuck in your own little bubble, stuck in the first stage or first stage consciousness. And once you can become to be aware of it, that, oh, that's first stage, you can start to see it in other people too. And some people ride their whole lives out being stuck in that.
Sure. Once you realize that first stage consciousness is insufficient for your quality of life, you start to include at least one other person. And sometimes it takes us until we start dating, to realize we're concerned about somebody else and what they're going through or how they're feeling about something or what makes them happy or some consideration. Hopefully our family structures help us to consider other members in the family first so that we can start to reach that second stage consciousness. And second stage consciousness is really about fairness and functionality. When selfishness becomes insufficient, the next step up is what is fair or what is functional or what is safe from the abuse and the neglect that's typical of the first stage when first stage people are, hurting each other.
Yeah, codependent relationships, or maybe a boss who's just stuck in his being neurotic and stuck in his all about him and his business and hurting his employees, or maybe the employees are stuck of all they care about is maybe the paycheck, or they think the boss, or a marriage where it's codependent and they're fighting and they're stuck in their own needs.
First stage stuff.
But second stage is, you're saying, functionality, fairness. This is compromise.
It's more important, right? And so the goal in second stage is to try to consider the other person. As long as the other person is considering you, you can kind of find a compromise. So that now you have a little more function, a little more fairness. And so it's a struggle to reach beyond the first stage into the second stage. There's a vulnerability because you're not going to get your needs met. They'll probably get partially met. And ultimately, we don't want to be needy. We want to be self-empowered, right? But I still have some neediness, right? And so to become self-empowered means we have to out practice that neediness. We've got to do what's necessary to become self-sufficient, self-empowered, to be abundant inside rather than scarce inside, whether it's love or freedom. Feminine, that fears unlove. That's what their first stage issues tend to be about. And a masculine person, whether male or female, tends to be about freedom. So it fears traps. That's what its first stage issues are generally about. When you're in a relationship with somebody, whether it's a neighbor, boss, family member, or an intimate partner, when you have a good second stage relationship, it's like, okay, everything's fair, everything's functional, kind of boring and predictable. There's got to be more. Like there has to be zest and zeal and surprise. And
can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So your second stage, functional, it's fair, but to even get to that, just to kind of like recap, first it does take becoming aware of ego and self-esteem. It becomes dissolving some of that ego and becoming
vulnerable,
balanced, vulnerable, self-esteem, and the idealisms, not being trapped in these. I always like to explain with my hands, being trapped in an idealism versus being in reality, and then becoming in tune with yourself, so then you can become functional and fair with someone else.
Right.
Getting out of that, so now you can consider someone else and compromise. Well, how do they feel? What's their perception on it? Maybe I can bend a little to, coexist with someone. But now you're saying it could be boring?
Sure. Sure. If I've been in a relationship for 10 years or 20 years with somebody, and we've got most of our first stage stuff cleared out, and everything is just fair and just functional, what if when I see that they are struggling with their first stage stuff, I do what they require, selflessly. Like I'm not looking for fair. And that's what the third stage is about. Third stage is about serving. It's because you've become so complete and self-empowered and abundant, you've recovered your self-esteem so much that it doesn't matter. You're not in scarcity, so you don't need to trade fairly. You can give freely. You're abundant. So you'll notice that people that we admire often are generous people. But some, we want to be careful it's not first stage giving that looks like third stage, because that's when I'm giving to get something back from you, whether it's validation or, some kind of value from you. I wouldn't be giving it from you if I didn't expect something.
Yeah.
In the third stage, you're giving because that's what the moment requires.
Yes, you're giving to give because the moment requires, right?
Right.
Versus having some agenda, some first stage agenda.
Behind it, often hidden. Like a lot of you were talking about codependent relationships or first stage relationships. They feel like they're giving everything, but they're giving only to get.
Yeah.
So if I'm giving you patience, or I'm giving you, forgiveness, or it's to get that neediness that I require from you. Like I'm needy for something from you, and you better give it. And the reason you better give it is because I gave so much.
Yes.
Right? And so you're giving in order to get. That's the true motivation. And when we're first stage and we're in intimacy like that in a first stage way, we honestly believe we're giving everything we have. But we're not really giving, we're secretly trading, and you better trade back or there will be hell to pay, so to speak, right? Or I'll withhold, or I'll punish you, or I'll abuse you, or neglect you, or, first stage stuff that deals with these ideals, or it deals with the ego. And those things block what's more truthful.
I want to ask real quick, you said most people, or a lot of people, can spend their entire lives just stuck in first stage. What percentage of people would you say are in second stage where they're functional and fair, and then what percentage of people even make it to third stage, let alone fourth stage?
Sure. Most people are in first stage because they're dealing with their own survival. How do I survive? My bills, my peace of mind, my time, my my, I, me, my.
Wow.
Right. Most of the world is first stage, primarily. However, because of our evolution in culture, we've adopted a lot more second stage practices. So we can't just go out be little tyrants now in public. We tend to manage ourselves, our first stage stuff a little better. I'll be quiet, I won't invade your space, I won't insult you if you don't do those things to me. That's a compromise. And so we exist in a second stage way. And we have all these laws too, which are second stage laws, right? I can't speed because I might crash into you or something or cause you a damage, or so the law kind of steps in and helps us maintain a second stage fairness and functionality on a cultural level. So, we're getting more and more second stage consciousness, but we're still mostly first stage. My family, my money, my, I, me, my. And that doesn't mean it's wrong, right? And being third stage or fourth stage doesn't mean you're right. It just means it is what it is. The third stage is a service where you feel like you are full enough and abundant enough with your own self-esteem that you can share some on behalf of people that are struggling, whether it's your intimate partner, or whether it's your family or your community. Now, what's interesting about fourth stage is that it's a full service. So the first stage has a masculine version and a feminine version. The second stage has a masculine version and a feminine version. The third stage has a masculine version and a feminine version, but the fourth stage is when you're capable of both.
That's huge. That's like, so masculine, feminine, imagine like the yin yang, right?
Perfection,
This,
in
the
abundance.
reciprocal. So you're saying the fourth stage is like this omni.
That's personal
you
mastery.
become one with all that is.
That's one way people put it, yep. Because you're in the moment with everything. So, and you can feel if this moment is asking
Moment
for...
by moment.
Yes, moment by moment. And you can feel if this moment is asking for a feminine gift from you or a masculine gift from you, and you can offer it. We're born in the first stage.
And when you're in fourth stage, you could be a gift. You can give gifts to the world. If you see somebody is waitress is ringing up a carry-out at a restaurant, she's having a horrible day, you could just notice something. Hey, you're doing a great job, thank you.
That would be a feminine gift.
Right?
Sure.
And then
maybe
oh,
you'll
yeah,
notice.
Yeah, right. And
maybe you'll notice that she needs a masculine gift. And that really takes an intuition, and you can't be self-absorbed in order to calibrate out there.
Yeah.
Because the first stage is the opposite. You can't feel anybody but yourself.
Maybe a dad has a kid who's playing soccer or something, and fully engaged, and just knew at that moment when to support the son or to challenge him.
Yes.
So he can grow.
The masculine grows by challenge, and the feminine grows by praise and support for what is true.
Yes.
So you can't be a fake praiser.
Yeah.
The feminine doesn't grow from that, but you can be an authentic praiser, something that's worthy of praise, and the feminine grows. And whether you're male or female, you have masculine and feminine consciousness. That's something that we suffered over before with the strict, what we call gender roles before. Because you were male, you had to be masculine, or because you were female, you had to be feminine. But now we're learning that we're capable of so much more than gender roles. So we want to look at that, but we want to also understand that at a genetic level, there is a relationship.
That's amazing. And to quickly recap on the second stage, because I've heard you talk about shells before, how say a man and a woman can be together in a relationship, and the man can be masculine as core, woman is feminine, but the man has a feminized shell, and the woman now has the reciprocal.
The masculine shell.
A masculine shell.
Yeah.
So those are bumping up against each other, which is stopping the cores from communicating.
Right, they can't reach each other.
Genuine. It happens in all ways all the time. This is energy.
That's a fact. So we want to become aware of this personal growth and development process so that we know where we're at, we know what we can expect from ourselves and from other people, and we know how to communicate within that stage.
Yeah.
And how we can invite each other to reach further.
Wow. And then so your clients that you coach, because you're a personal mastery coach, how many of them, or how long does it take, or how can you shorten the process to take someone who's stuck and trapped in first stage egoic consciousness, they're in suffering, they have episodes where they're just like locked up. How long, like what type of exercises does it take, and how long does it take to bring them into second and then eventually into third stage?
The biggest obstacle is how much trauma that we've experienced psychically, psychologically, in our childhood, in our adolescence, before we became adults that had to, fend for ourselves. That really is the biggest obstacle, is how much trauma have you experienced in your life, because that's how tightly you're going to cling to your egoic protective.
So we're talking years and years of deeply held idealisms and roots and shell, and you try to even touch that thing.
Right, exactly. So, and that's what hypnotherapy is about. It gives you a very relaxed, safe, therapeutic environment to experience openness and vulnerability and to restore your access to those resources.
I'm just going to say it, so that Rob has coached me in the past and put me under hypnosis during a session. And basically, long story short, at the end of the session, I'm driving back home, and I was answering a couple phone calls, returning some calls, and a business affiliate of mine, he said to me, "What's going on with you, Keith?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I've never heard you." Wait. So I can get in the state when I say it. He's like, "I've never heard you so clear and present before. Like, this is amazing. Like, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I just got out of a session with Coach Rob." Mind-blowing. But you also said that once you go back into your environment, you'll start getting triggered and you'll go back into the shape that you're habitually used to.
You lose your awareness and you go back to your habits.
You slowly go back to the polarized habit, and the more you can reset those triggers and dissolve that.
And remain free and open and clear like that. That's ultimately what we all want, but we don't know where to find it. We keep looking out this way. Someone else give it to me, some product, some advancement, more money. If I wasn't married, like you keep coming up with these ideas, but it's there in every moment. You just have to practice finding it and developing a value for your relationship to it.
That's awesome. So along with this video, there's a free PDF download that is all about the introduction to the 4 stages of personal growth and development. And make sure you download it, look through it, even watch this video again, because this is massive. We started out with the foundation and it came all the way to here to moving forward. And also, we're learning right now, being aware of all this stuff is the first step to making huge transformation. Sometimes we feel like we gotta run out and just do something, do, but really it's about awareness and being that just dissolves all this stuff. And I could talk about it because I've learned it, I'm learning it myself and living it, and thank you.
Sure, my pleasure. I look forward to working with everybody who's interested in making a difference in their life and in the lives of other people they care about or serve.
Yeah,
So let's get to that next video. Look forward to, to getting there.
All right, cool. See you in the next video.